100 Thieves versus Sentinels in a matchup that we have all been waiting for, and it is my pleasure to say Kickstarter and Nintero, take it away.
Well, thank you very much, Veli. That's awesome. Yeah, we usually get to hear that, Michael, and it's nice to be back in the saddle yet again for Valorant. We've got two titans colliding with each other. The analyst desk was a little bit split. If I was to ask you to make a prediction, either on this first map that we're going into, or the matchup in general, and I'm sorry that I have to put you in this position, what would you say?
I think that 100 Thieves are looking really consistent coming into this compared to Sentinels, which we often see go on streaks and then have downturns that they have to then recover from. For me right now, especially with Haven, Icebox, and Bind, I feel a little bit like I have to lean towards 100 Thieves just for that consistency. The one edge that I think I can give towards Sentinels right now is actually going to come down to the agent selection. And it's that they're more adaptive when it comes to the meta and who they pick. Like, for example, on Haven, they're going to be bringing in Astra. Will 100 Thieves actually repeat that Omen pick, or are they going to change up their smoke or their controller as well? I don't know. It's hard to say. I guess slight edge Sentinels.
It's really wild and was touched on by the analysts too. If you go back and look at the agent composition that 100 Thieves likes to bring to all these maps, the only thing that's knocked off their consistency was Viper's emergence on a wide variety of maps, in particular Icebox and her prevalency there. That was the only change that we saw at 100 Thieves. You're absolutely right. Sentinels like to change some things up, and they vary wildly map to map. 100 Thieves come in with their game plan, and I have no doubt that the fact that 100 Thieves likes to play their style of game is why we end up seeing the three maps that we're going to be going on to today. It is also really crazy to note that with both of these teams coming in with very lengthy win streaks, as noted, 100 Thieves have not dropped a game in 9 games, going all the way back to the middle of March. As for Sentinels, well, it's only been 8 days since their last loss. They've been playing just a ton of Valorant. It's actually insane when you look at the amount of games that they've played over the last couple weeks. It's a 6-game win streak for the Sentinels, going back to April 22nd when they lost to Anbox. With that said, we should just be moments away from being able to start up Haven, and the agent select phase is on your screen right now.
So pay special attention to 100 Thieves on their agent selection, because they've been so consistent on Haven. 100 Thieves tend to bring a Cypher, an Omen, a Phoenix, Sage, and a Sova. If there's any variation here, and it looks like there might be here for Pico, as he wants to bring in that Viper, which makes sense considering how in-meta Viper has been as of late, then that might be the difference maker for 100 Thieves. I think Sentinels brought us here because they expected to have the advantage with the Astra over the Omen, and it looks like they're going to be able to keep that advantage to an extent. Astra's just too adaptable on this map and able to control the line of scrimmage too readily as agents go. So a slight disadvantage here, I'd say, for 100 Thieves in regards to their controller, but I think that that's not going to hold them down too much.
Viper's pick rate continues to go up and up and up, but Hiko decides to lock in Sova instead. A small change from Ethan. He tends to play Sage on this map with some consistency. There's a Skye that's going to be coming in. And of course, Skye brings a wealth to the table. She's another agent that we've seen get added to more compositions depending on the map. Obviously, she provides valuable intel with her abilities, but also she's got a heal and the ability to flash as well. So no Sage, no Ice Walls available. We're still waiting on Sentinels right now to lock in their last 2 agents, but 100 Thieves are ready to rumble.
So it actually is not displaying properly, but Sentinels did decide to pick Cypher and Phoenix. So we've got everybody locked up and ready to roll. As soon as that's all, everyone's prepped, we'll go ahead and load into Haven and get this ball rolling. So everything's selected now for both teams. And it's the typical lineup, actually, if the Cypher and the Phoenix in there for Sentinel. So they are the ones who are not going to be changing anything on their side compared to what they switched up to. I want to say around mid-April, they decided to switch up their lineups a little bit here, working in the Astra. And that's it's been working really well for the Sentinels. So now that we've got it all selected, we're going to go ahead and load in on number 1 here. Sentinels starting on attack.
All lined up immediately for a B take, and we see frenzies in hand, a wide variety of those As weapons being brought, whether it's a ghost or a frenzy, spike immediately being planted. We're only 15 seconds into the round, and tens will get out of there very quickly. All 10 agents still alive, so the challenge will be for a retake. We'll see if they'll be able to do it, as Sick will be the first one in the line of fire, quite literally. Dapper down, he takes down Steel, Shazam falls too, and 100 Thieves have lost to almost immediately. They're trying to fire back as best as they can. They're bottlenecked over by A. Sick will be the main impediment there to stop it. He won't be able to get much, but Ethan will remain on 1 HP, no heal available for him. Nitro baiting out a defuse on the spike. Shroud of Smoke, waiting to play around the corner and swing onto the Astro, loses the fight, and it's a cleanup from Sentinels to take the very first round.
That was great strategic awareness there from Sentinels. One of the biggest things is that they didn't force out into A link, and that's huge because we all saw Nitro just lingering by A, waiting for somebody to push into him because he's alone. There's no refrag potential, so he's got to take his 1v1. So when he's pushing into B to try and fake out that spike defuse, he actually finds himself now alone because Sentinels turned around and took both of the fights that 100 Thieves forced, pushing out of A and C. So nice awareness there from Sentinels to react to what they expected from 100 Thieves on the flank behind. That was beautiful read.
I like the pacing as well. It was very, very quick. In, smokes out, immediately fall back and try to fight in that post plant. Now, things are going to slow down just a tiny bit because at this point in the previous round, the spike was already down. Sentinels will try to take up map control as their sights are over towards C. The retake that'll be coming in from 100 Thieves is over by A, and they're going to need to get there very quickly because the defense on C will be winnowed down. Still waiting to see if anybody's going to be able to make any moves here. 100 Thieves will have to battle against a team that has yet to plant the spike. There it is. Shazam has it in hand. It's going down. Asuna up, checking the window in garage, as the Sentinels once again will just wait for the post plant.
A great opportunity for the retake here for 100 Thieves. You're not going to expect them to be able to get this, and the force out from Sentinels over by C-Link is going to work great. They'll even get a flawless round to add insult to injury. People second, so nothing surprising there. No eco damage at all, though, for 100 Thieves is obviously not bode well.
They'll be in a rough spot, but they'll be able to full buy here. It just means that they'll be in a fragile spot moving forwards. We'll see exactly what their lineup is going to be. It's not a full buy yet from Sentinels. They're going to hang on to those Spectres, and, well, they've been feeling pretty confident so far. It's a strong start for them. They're able to take map control quickly. 100 Thieves just got bottlenecked over by A, and the one remaining flank watch of Sentinels playing over by Green was able to stop them. 100 Thieves couldn't take up any more land.
Again, just a quick push up through mid. Interesting play from Sentinels, and now that Ethan's got a rifle, he's going to shut down that push. Tens on the floor, but the spike's going down. Dapper able to get one on the entry, though, so it's an equal exchange and spike planted.
That was a rough look for Tens as he peeked left, right as the attack came in, and he lost his life for it. Asuna trying to retake, he gets spotted, he'll fall back. Recon Dart pulled out as now Ethan will go for a flash and himself try to engage, but he has to be very wary of window as there's multiple angles. He's good for his shots, though, so far. Drone floating on up, a flash comes across, and Ethan cannot outduel Sick, who had all of it working for him there. Dapper with one of his own eco traded out. Shazam and Dapper now in a 2v1. Steel, almost full HP. He's just going to very slightly creep up on Green here, watching the window. Time is running out, though, and he's going to need to run for the hills. He'll catch Shazam, though, as he backs away, but the spike goes off. Regardless, Dapper on 1 HP survives, and the Sentinels are up 3-0.
Definitely an expensive round there for the Sentinels, but they did get that spike plant, though, so they're going to be pretty flush. 100 Thieves not in a great position now. That was meant to be their round. The quick action plant there for Sentinels has gone uncontested now twice. First in the pistol round, then in the first buy round. Definitely some more B presence for 100 Thieves necessary to change these round outcomes. At least more information on that aggressive plant. I think they're expecting Sentinels to get full control of the site before they go for the plant, but Sentinels is saying nah to that and just going straight for spike plant right off the cuff, regardless if they win on entry or not. It's quite interesting. Now it's this lack of C presence. 400 Thieves and Sentinels will get it for free.
Absolutely, and they've got C under lock and key right now. 100 Thieves not wanting to battle against the Astra Smoke, so they will be pushed back. Once again, spike going down. 4 rounds that Sentinels have been successful every round so far in the game. And unfortunately, as you can see, 100 Thieves are not going to be on equal footing when it comes to weaponry. The Sentinels have full bot now, and they're able to enact some vengeance upon the members of 100 Thieves that are in between a rock and a hard place. Stick is spotted, though. He gets pre-fired away. Things starting off with Steel. That's some good damage done, but immediately Sentinel's guns find their marks. 2 of 100 Thieves taken out. Sentinels still hold the numbers advantage. There goes a dart amidst the smoke, trying to give some recon and information. Recon bolt gets destroyed as Tens continues with this, and 3 kills for him. 4-0 Sentinels.
Well, Sentinels looking pretty strong here. One interesting tidbit about the way that Sentinels is handling their executions is that they, when getting the spike down, play their post plant very passively far back on the attacker's side. Now, we often see on B plants, aggro push from the attackers after they get the spike down. They'll go ahead and push towards A link or C link or what have you to try and gain more control and another angle to defend in the post plant. But Sentinels consistently are planting and falling back to their side of the map to try and play for the flanks because they know to expect it from 100 Thieves. It's been working out for Sentinels so far, but that last round wasn't a rifle round. This one is, so this might be the difference maker for 100 Thieves.
That's a lot of firepower from Hiko. He doesn't end up doing much of anything. Tens is the only player on Sentinels who's taken a bit of a beating, and even then, it's not that much. This is the first A execute that we're going to see from Sentinels. There's the tripwire, and right into the middle of the site they go, but 100 Thieves is perfectly placed for that. Steel loses his life for it, though, as he's able to help Asuna pick up 1. And now Asuna from Sewers will continue to do that. Pivots for a 3rd. He's dragged down. Now, at least the front of the site is in perfect control for Sentinels. They've also taken the back, so they'll look to lock out a push that'll come from the defender spawn. Spike has not been planted just yet, so Hiko will go onto the Owl drone, discover that there's somebody down below, and with those marks, fire through the floor. He's got a lot of bullets, and he gets one on Nizam's. Nice bullet pen for him, leaving Shazam to try and carry the load, but he won't. 100 Thieves, it takes 5 rounds, but you're on the board.
So obviously most of that comes down to Asuna's play by short. He went uncleared and uncontested, and crucially, the clear by short for Sentinels, you can actually see it right now, was kind of awkward because we did see, obviously, Tens try to get on top of the boxes, but that right there, that's Dapper a little bit late to the party. Because he was so late and alone, he wasn't able to win his fight and actually take that control by short, ultimately resulting in an absolute catastrophe for Sentinels when they went for that execute into A. Nice play there from Asuna, and now 100 Thieves finally starting to make something work for them. They're going to set up in a way that is actually very focused on the C side. As you can see, they've stacked heavily for it, expecting a C or B execute. A left relatively alone because of the aggressive play from Steel. He has the information he needs.
And Dapper's also set up most of that Cypher utility so that when 100 Thieves decides to retake from that position, he'll be spotted right away. And Steel knows that. He has to fall back. So Shazam will be the one to go after him, hunting as best as he can. The focus from Sentinels shifted from mid towards B, now over to A. And I wonder if it's because they did get that early read on Steel.
Ooh, the run it back. Ultimately going to gather information on Tens, who's now kind of trapped in mid. He'll get out, though. Excuse me, the dash. And a nice shot as well. Hiko goes down, and that's the pick that Sentinels really need to open up this round. Now they're set up for the A execute. They're going to be spotted by the camera, but they've still got that man advantage.
At least 2 players from Sentinels spotted by that cam of Steel as 100 Thieves are called into action. Steel's utility working wonders, but so is his Vandal. He punishes Tens for that. Trying to clear out the site and also gain some valuable intel as Shazam. Steel posted up, picks up his 2nd kill before dropped by Zoms. Zoms in the middle of the smoke. He and Dapper side by side are cleaning things out, leaving Ethan in a 1v3. Spike isn't down just yet, so Ethan has some time to get to the site, but he's likely going to be in a post plant. Spike is at half, and Ethan has no real intel. You can see starved of utility. He's taking a bit of a beating too. He's going to need to peek multiple angles. This is tough for him. 1 underneath hell, but he's spotted by the cam. Dapper trying to bait out a swing. Don't know if Ethan heard that or not. A pop for intel as Ethan fires to the right, but he's punished from the left. A 3rd kill from Zoms, as it's a crucial round for Sentinels.
Yeah, really big one there on the entry in A, and the pick from Tens. We talked about how yesterday, obviously he wasn't the star performer, but Sentinels is flush with those. So you're going to have days where someone's performing and someone else is. Today, at least at this point, Tens really important frags, and that first lead-up kill by B, especially since it went unanswered, allowed for Sentinels to just ball up on A and take full man advantage push into site. That cannot be understated in its significance. Now, 100 Thieves are way down on the eco. We'll see a judge brought out for Ethan, and he's going to try and work some kind of magic over by Garage. It's not an easy hold, but it's doable, especially if you get a blind entry with no flashes or anything like that.
I don't think Ethan gained anything off of that flashbang. That went out, and though the Sentinels realized that B was relatively clear, the drone obviously not scouting anything from 100 Thieves, they still have to be a little bit wary because it wasn't a full clear of B's site. Now Sick punishing Steel, very first death in the way of 100 Thieves, and Sick will post up watching to see if from C-Link anybody's going to contest. Nobody will. Nitro's over there. And some hot hands tossed on. Oh my goodness, Nitro finds himself in such a bad place. Sick with his second kill. Tens dashes away and will try to join the rest of his team over by A. There's Cam though, and it's spotted them. So Sentinels will continue to move en masse to try and take care of A. The site is free and clear. Dare I say it? Well, it's free real estate. There goes the spike getting planted, and some darts shot up from Hiko, trying to land in the midst of A, as once again 100 Thieves are going to continuously find themselves in these post plants. Cage out in front of Sick. He's trapped, but, well, he's actually concealed by that gate. And he swings on over. 4 kills, 5 kills, an ace for Sick as he shuts down 100 Thieves by himself.
Beautiful positioning there, and able to take full advantage of the surprise for 100 Thieves. But it all starts with this pick here. Steel at mid. Now, we've seen 100 Thieves peeking mid for information and getting punished as a result so many times now. I mean, it just seems like it's going to be consistent here for Sentinels. And it's really unfortunate that we are seeing that, especially considering 100 Thieves have a Sky. I mean, you can, or a Sova, you can get information in other ways. You don't have to face check it. That mid peek is definitely not the play. They need to figure out a different way to get the info that they want on that mid position. The A site control also has definitely been a bit of a struggle. We'll see if it's going to change with Steel having the operator in hand. It's the run it back to try and contest it, and Sick cannot find Steel. He's going to back to hell before being finally finished off. Molly for control, and now Sentinels have full A site.
He knows he's not going to be able to get the push onto Sova by spawn, so instead he looks to the left to see if he can find anybody over by B. He doesn't see anything before the timer runs out. But, again, A site is in control of Sentinels. Map like Haven, you're going to be fighting on your back foot quite a lot. And so far on these defenses, 100 Thieves have not been anywhere near as proficient as they need to be. Spike yet to go down, and the retake from 100 Thieves not working out in their favor. Nitro has a lone kill for their team to punish Zom, but so far the guns on Sentinels hitting their marks. It's a rare round that the Sentinels win without getting the objective into play, and yet this first half is going by very quickly and is breaking the hopes and dreams of 100 Thieves.
Yeah, it's this right here, that kill on the Steel. He was trying to escape. He almost managed to. You know, the operator not being super dynamic in his hands there in that moment. Sometimes you just need to get the right position, the right angle without having to contest some form of utility, and he just unfortunately could not find that. So, great run it back use there from Sick. And with that A site control being so easily taken for Sentinels, 100 Thieves definitely need to reconsider how they're going to choose to hold that. Now their economy is absolutely shattered. Look at this. We've got a share being brought by Nitro, and apart from that, pretty much almost nothing spent. Maybe just a little bit of utility for Steel and Asuna. So this is basically a handed over round unless 100 Thieves can give us something magical. And I believe, taking a little bit of a pause here to figure out what's going on.
Well, you know, Michael, the timer at the top has stopped running, so I think it's pretty safe to say that there's a pause.
There was definitely a pause.
That's technically how it works.
Yes.
Unless that 1 second was actually 10 seconds, and we just ended up in some weird time continuum loop.
I've never seen that happen before, Parker, but I wouldn't be surprised. First time for everything, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go out on one there and say that it was a timeout. Right now, by the way, Sentinels giving 100 Thieves the version 1 treatment, as yesterday on this map, Sentinels emerged from the first half after starting on attack 9-3. We are very close to that already. Sentinels just need 2 more rounds, and they've matched their win from yesterday, obviously proving that this is a good map, as good map as you can ask for, and of course, they picked it for good reason. Now they're stacked up on the B and C sides of the map, foregoing A after giving a merciless beating to 100 Thieves on that site over the last couple rounds.
Going for the orb here. Sam will get it. And there's the Cosmic Divide. Now that's going to be the fourth push into C. Just Nitro trying to hold this off. Not an easy task.
They're looking to find their shot. So far, they are cleaning out the site. It's a rodeo with Tens now. He picks up two of his own, immediately retreats to the boxes. Fire goes out on him. He tries to dash away, but he can't. He's thwarted by a box. In hand, Asuna can't do much, and neither can the rest of his team, because it's yet another round for Sentinels. We are going to continue to say this. The scoreline through 10 rounds, or through 9 actively played, is 8-1.
Yeah, so, I mean, I gotta hand it to Asuna that it was some great play there with the Sheriff as well as the Molly, so he's managed to pick up 2 kills for his team, and that's gonna be okay. As we can all see, obviously, it didn't really truly affect Sentinel's economy too much. They're gonna be fine. But still, some damage done is better than nothing, obviously. Now, importantly, 100 Thieves are gonna be able to bring another operator this time, so this is the second chance for Seal. He didn't manage to make it work last time. This time, in order to make it have a chance, he has to bring half shield, so that's not ideal, obviously.
This is a rough spot, again, for 100 Thieves to find themselves in, but as they've lost grip on this economy, what all really can you do at this point? Around its, this side of the map is so heavily tilted in favor of Sentinels that really 100 Thieves haven't been able to do much at all. Spike gets planted, by the way. Steel had everything lined up, but his line of sight knocked off. Advantage in terms of numbers for 100 Thieves, and it will continue to grow. Nitro looking for another steal in on the front, and all of them are down. 100 Thieves will pick up their second round. This is crucial for them. They took a gamble with the economy, they went full buy, and they end up coming out ahead.
Yeah, massive round for 100 Thieves. He definitely needed that one, especially investing in on that operator. So clearly the right call, as Seal did get the lead-off pick. And then when Sentinels tried to retake into Garage, I mean, absolute meat grinder. That was not the play, clearly. And it almost worked out there, but no, they get shut down on their entry back into Garage. So we've seen Sentinels now shift up their strategy from post-planting on the attacker side of the map to post-planting on the defender side of the map. So they're trying to mix things up to keep 100 Thieves on their toes. But I think after that round, it's a clear read for Sentinels that playing on the attacker side in the post-plant is definitely the play.
Well, 100 Thieves have a lot of bodies over towards A. This is reminiscent of what we saw in the first couple of rounds, where they were trying to retake through A long. Asuna will continue to soldier forward. He thinks he's got somebody in the corner, but there's nobody there playing a cheeky angle. Instead, he perseveres and suffers through the flames, but it's a run it back, so he's back at square one. Flashing towards A, or B rather, and there's another flash. This one coming in from Ethan, as Nitro's in a position that goes unpunished. 3 kills from the back of the site, and this is going to put Zoms in a 1v5. We saw a flawless round back in round number 2 for Sentinels. Zoms here, well, you're going to be fighting against an entire team of 100 Thieves that is looking to be quite confident.
Yeah, definitely not an ideal situation for Zoms. Most of that just coming down to Nitro not being cleared out and back up B site. Unfortunate that Sentinels did not put more priority on that. It's going to be an easy pickup there at the end for a 4K. Nitro wanted to make it as big as it could, and he certainly did. So now, 100 Thieves salvaging this first half somewhat. This will be the last round for the half, so both teams on essentially full buy here, perfectly capable of keeping themselves in tension. Thanks to Sentinels putting themselves up early so many rounds in a row, they are going to be pretty flush. I will say 100 Thieves definitely, I think while they are obviously they're losing, the aggressive play we're seeing from them is a good way to respond to this situation, and it's keeping Sentinels on their toes for sure. That lack of A lane control was definitely rough in the last round for Sentinels.
There's over half a dozen ults that are going to be popped in this pivotal round to see if Sentinels can do the exact same scoreline that they did yesterday. They trade off 1 apiece. Sick enters and then immediately runs it back. Steel in a rough place with off in hand, can't do all that much. Zoms punishes him from the cubby and will continue as now Sentinels moves towards C. Sick is on in. Shazam scouting for information. Does he find anything? Looks like he might have towards the back of the site. Additionally, Asuna now inside a garage, trying not to make any noise whatsoever. The spike has been planted, so 100 Thieves are in a 3v4. Bird out for intel, possibly a blind. There's nobody in the site. There's a recon dart. Flame Wall to go out to try and stop any potential view that Sentinels would have. They spot Asuna in his position, though, but they handed the shot. Shazam in particular missing. That's not ideal, but he hits it that time around. Sick taking some damage, but he's trying to decide if it's worth the trade-off. The rest of the team, they managed to do what Sick wasn't capable of doing. In the first half, in the books, 9-3.
So I'm sure most of you are picking up on this. I'd love to see it from Sentinels. Again, Sentinels tried 2 different variations of their post plants, and that variation was the one that worked for them so consistently, especially in the first quarter of that half. So good job to Sentinels, again, playing that post plant all the way back on the attacker side through long, just trying to make sure that they have all the control that they need on their side of the map, and knowing that they can spam it on the spike as it's been planted. So that's great job to Sentinels. Again, strategic awareness, 10 out of 10. 100 Thieves definitely need to work something out on their defense of this map to try and retake on the attacker side, because they're not going to be able to challenge direct lines like that. The disruption, control the smokes, they're just not enough. So, yeah, definitely some mistakes there for 100 Thieves and something they need to iron out. But now we're on the second half, so they get to try their hand at attack.
Sick thought he had something now as he goes to break through the double doors over by Garage, but he doesn't get much other than some small damage that's done to him. But it's just a scratch, just cosmetic, as now he'll back up. An A take for 100 Thieves is currently in the book. Zom's posting up. There's a cam up there to tag him, spot him, and now a cage goes out as well. But a bit of a distraction and stall at the top of A short. See if anybody will be able to come to the rescue. Ethan is essentially in no man's land, all by himself, stranded. That spike down as well. Over by Green. These pistols so punishing so far for Sentinels. And they know that they have spike control. Or at least it should look like they do.
But we've got Nitro actually going to plant over by C. So Sentinels, even though they pushed up on mid, and they actually have the flank there from Shazam, are going to mainly ball up for a retake from C Link.
He goes from behind, takes down Zoms, as it's now a post-plant situation, and Sentinels know how punishing this has been when 100 Thieves was in that particular position. Asuna loses his fight to Shazam, and now Hiko will be very pivotal. Nitro's in the middle of the site, down he goes, and defusing is going just perfectly, but Hiko finds one before continuing onward. Tags, so he'll be spotted, cannot deal with the double stack up, and Sentinels pick up the very first round for them on defense.
Yeah, and that might seal the deal, Parker. I mean, you're looking at more than likely another 2 rounds here in a row for Sentinels. Obviously taking that pistol round. Now they get to buy up, and 100 Thieves, I mean, they're pretty strapped for cash. They're going to be here and the next. So this is not, it's not ideal, that's for sure. At least 100 Thieves did get that spike plant down. That is worth something. They are going to help their economy out quite a lot there. This time, it's going to be a push over by A lanes, at least early on. Information from the Silver Dart there, the recon gathers a good amount. Shazam actually pushed off, though, because of a counter recon dart. And it's a push through short, quick action into A.
Well, Shazam will try to stop them now, looking towards A short. Emerging from sewers. Spike is down, by the way. 6 entry kills. His opening picks have been crucial for his team. Right now, duel a jiggle peek now, as he retreats ever so slightly. A flash, he's got another Phoenix. The imposter, down he goes. Sentinels, a flawless round. They're at 11 against 3 for 100 Thieves.
So, I think part of this is going to be down to the agent selection that we have here, obviously. You know, it's an Omen instead of an Astra, 400 Thieves. That's going to be a factor. Your control is just less. It's just less flat out. If you can work the Astra in and you can feel confident about it, it's going to help you a little bit more, at least in, being able to push the lines of scrimmage. On the other hand, though, Sentinel's strategic awareness of the positioning for 100 Thieves is just 10 out of 10. I mean, the aggression there from Sick up through mid, and it went completely uncontested for the most part. And it's just 100 Thieves are letting that control go away, but Steel pushing out through long A is able to get 2. Those are massive picks, and that completely opens up the site. This could be the first attacking round for 100 Thieves.
And they desperately need it. They gambled here yet again, just as they did when they were on defense. And if they end up losing out, they're in significant problems. Well, they do have a full buy. They've got an advantage in numbers. They will continue to grow. Sick down. We just saw a flawless round from Sentinels. Well, it's on the menu now for 100 Thieves, providing that Dapper isn't able to do anything with it. Spike is going down. 1 minute remaining in the round. What is Dapper up to? What is he going to do? He might as well be miles away. He's floating over by window, watching B.
Yeah.
He could just be stalling at this point and trying to save.
He's looking for economy, and it makes sense here, especially with the striker. He's not going to have a great chance at clutching this one up. So let's just see if he can take anyone with him. Now, it's going to be definitely teamwork on the take out of sight here for 100 Thieves. They'll try to make sure they don't lose too many bodies. But most of that round, I mean, it just comes down to that early entry for Steel. So great job by Long. 100 Thieves finally finding themselves in a comfortable position. Sentinels is not going to be fully out of this, though. Obviously, their economy should be fine for the next round, at least, acceptable. And the aggression here for Dapper is kind of, noting of that. I think it's going to be, he's not going to get anything, but it's telling that he went for that aggro push just to try and hurt the economy of the enemy team more than anything. So here it is, the moment of truth. Lack of a read from Shazam. He probably had a dart out or something similar, because it didn't really even seem like he took that fight.
So, well, again, 100 Thieves were not able to convert that force buy that we saw back in round number 3. They did it successfully the second time, and now the third time as well is a charm. The problem is that if at any point 100 Thieves sacrifices a single round while not being in a good spot in regards to that economy, they're not going to have enough time to catch up, given the precipice they find themselves on. So a couple early picks here from Sentinels with weaponry in hand can be so crucial. Zoms finds Steel immediately. That's the very first kill on this round. Ten's flashed out of his position, and he sees one, but he can't do enough. He tries for the tag, is unsuccessful.
Ethan now pushed up in short, and he could definitely make a big play here, and he's going to need to for his team. But it's actually a rotate over towards C with a run it back. Asano's going to get Dapper, who's trying to connect through Link. And with that pick, C control not fully established, but at least rendered a lot easier. Here come out those bird bangs, and is going to see the smoke and the paranoia as well from 100 Thieves on the entry.
And it's going to be a brawl inside of C site now. Enough time for Sentinels to get back. Sick doing damage with Asana there as well. Both Phoenixes on these teams making their mark. Ethan falls 3v3. Plenty of time left to go. They'll try to protect Nitro as the spike goes down. Watching Link, watching Spawn, seeing which way they're going to come from. Hens, once this flame wall drops, will have a line of sight over towards the Omen, tags him. The Sentinels have the advantage now. Asuna sitting on top of that spike. Tens bursts up, ult in hand. He gets punished for it! And both Hiko and Asuna lock out Sentinels and give 100 Thieves their 5th round.
Oh boy. So, a very different way to play that post plant for 100 Thieves, stacking up on the site and denying the initial entry through Garage and through Link. Just generally not letting their enemy get into the site to contest directly. And right there, when Ten's entries in, dashes up and is just swatted out of the sky, that really definitively ends the round for Sentinel. So now their lead is starting to crumble, and take a look at their economy as well. It's in shambles with just Sheriffs and Frenzies being brought here, trying to make something work with the sidearms. It's definitely possible for Sentinels, but now 100 Thieves are starting to catch their stride. It might be a little bit too late at this point, but there's definitely a good chance 100 Thieves could make something happen.
And we're looking at an 11-6, possibly even 11-7, depending on the way this one plays out. It's entirely within the realm of possibility that 100 Thieves are able to make this one come back. And they try for an early duel over towards B. No, goodness, no. Sick has an opportunity, but he flashes and he's caught red-handed. Asuna punishing him. 100 Thieves will now roll towards A. They were able to dislodge one of the players from Sentinels who was going to lurk and possibly go for a flank roll. Unfortunately for Asuna, he looks the wrong way, gets pummeled by the shotgun in the hands of Zoms. Steel trades him out. Shazam back and forth now as there's damage being done from both teams. Spike in Steel's hands, able to just crouch around the fire as, well, a 2v1 favoring 100 Thieves. Dapper yet again in a do-or-die position. He'll head through sewers to see if he can do any damage at all, but he's got a frenzy in hand against 2 rifles, and he's not going to be able to make it back. Based on the economy, we saw things go according to plan, and 100 Thieves takes another round, this being their 3rd in a row.
Definitely according to plan, but that was a really good eco for Sentinels. They almost brought 100 Thieves low. And even though they didn't manage to win that one, you could see that Steel and Ethan are a little bit low on funds right now, so that's going to be a consideration for them moving forward. They should be fine, really, but it's still good damage done. Now, first full buy here that is in a position for Sentinels to actually push us onto match point, and it's an operator in the hands of Tens that could be the major difference maker as he attempts to challenge Long A.
And I mean, not that I don't trust tens with an operator in hand, but that is a big gamble given the situation that you're in regards to economy. Now, this would be yet another loss in the row, and at that point, economy starts to help you catch up after so many losses. The question will be for Sentinels, they're losing gunfights. You can be on good footing eco-wise, but if you're having problems actually taking these duels and coming out ahead, well, it doesn't really matter what weaponry you have if you can't hit your shots. Six starts things off. Steel's caught in an awkward position right as the obscurement in front of his eyes goes away. And now Shazam will send out a drone to try and determine where 100 Thieves are. Austin is lurking. Zoms is aware of this, staring intently at his position, just buying time. Shazam will swing up on him. Asuna gets as free of a kill as he's going to get, though it's immediately traded out. Still, these numbers will favor Sentinels.
Beautiful pick there through the wall, but it's a rotate from 100 Thieves. This might actually catch Sentinels off guard, but no, Tens is ready. An operator in hand, he'll miss his shot. Ethan will shut him down. That is about as bad as it could have gone for Sentinels. Now they'll be forced into a 3-on-3 retake, and with Ethan popping the ult there, it's going to be a little bit slower than they'd like.
They know there's one up in heaven. They know that there's one coming from spawn as well. So Nitro will be down below trying to stop them. Hiko will delay as much time as possible. Spike goes down for 100 Thieves. Yet again, this is the fourth round in a row that they've been able to get the objectives down. In fact, every attack that they have gotten the objective down on, they've won. This is where things could go from bad to worse, but Ethan's going to get sucked on into the gravity well. He's got the element of Nitro looking across. Dapper looks to the left. They're going to get punished. It's a double swing, and both guns from 100 Thieves have their targets aligned, even if Ethan doesn't get any of them. He can rely on his teammates to do that. As I said a couple rounds ago, if things go according to plan, we're looking at an 11-7, and that's exactly where we are.
And that's it. That's the moment of truth right there. And what's worse for Sentinels is they actually use their Cosmic Divide on that round as well. That means they're going to have it for future rounds. I don't know if that was really the round to use it on, especially not considering the way that 100 Thieves are playing these post plants. They're staying on site. They're not playing far back. They're remaining in control of those bottlenecks close up to the defender side of the map. So, I don't know. Not necessarily the best read there from Sentinels on the read. And most importantly, obviously, that missed operator shot and lack of escape from Tens at long was really rough. They run it back for Asuna, working out great already, taking out Tens inside a garage, but obviously this should just be a round for 100 Thieves, as they've got the economy well in their corner.
And Tens going down yet again. 100 Thieves scope out that C is clear, at least as far as they're aware, but intel is only good for a couple seconds because you can rotate. The call was made from 100 Thieves to maybe try and stick to C after losing that very first pick. So Sentinels now will need to find to go somewhere else, and they'll head over towards A. This A site has been a favored son so far for 100 Thieves. Sentinels trying to hold them off as best they can, but there's a giant wall of fire in between them, and 100 Thieves are capitalizing off of it. Asuna in particular, 4 kills for him. He'll heal up, and Ace is on the board yet again. The last man standing for Sentinels. No, he's Dapper. He'll walk up. Spike going down. He hears that. 4 members from 100 Thieves will be watching for him. Arrow just goes over his shoulder. Steel steals the ace. Doesn't matter, though. All 5 kills secured by 100 Thieves, and another round. This is their 5th round in a row on what is an exceedingly attacker-favored Haven.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised, obviously, given that was, not a buy round for Sentinels. But at the same time, it could have gone a little bit better. Sentinels didn't fight the bait too hard there on the C and the aggression from the run it back. So 100 Thieves strategically, they forced out for A, but didn't really end up mattering too much. What we're seeing now, just some early aggression by A lane, and once again, Tens has the operator in hand. So he is determined not to make the same mistake he made last time, and to make this hold work, but he's already got 2 people pushed up on short, and that's going to be difficult for him to challenge, given that he's pushed up on long. They'll have to rely on Zoms to hold this.
Yeah. That round in particular, before we just get into the action, we're about seconds away. Asuna using his utility perfectly and then taking matters into his own hands. First, that run it back to take the kill onto Garage, and then on top of that, the Blaze Wall to cut the site in half, and then just this ring around the Rosie that happened in the middle of A site was so incredibly helpful. Whether it's a bait or not, Sentinels seem to think that it's going to be an all-in on A, at least with where the Phoenix is moving through B, and Sova's floating in that same spot, so at any point Shazam can get recalled over. Steal on A, though, might be the reason why we see Sentinels abandon ship, and that's exactly what it is. They've completely fallen off C. But that's exactly where everybody else is going to go. If Steel doesn't murder them on A site first, that is. He gets swung on by Sick, and Sentinels think they've got it in hat, don't they? But no, the problem is that control of C is for 100 Thieves, and they've just been baited by Steel in essentially what is going to be a 3v3 now, as Shazam tags down Asuna, gets the kill, Spike gets planted as well. Some brief intel onto Ethan, as Sick is going to be very, very quiet. He's hitting his shots so far, punishing as many as he can. Sentinels now on the retake are picture perfect so far. Nitro in a 1v2. Playing around this Blaze Wall is Sick. He gets taken down, but Nitro is down as well, and the Sentinels will move to map point.
Absolutely huge round there for Sentinels, and I'm amazed that they managed it too. Great play from Sick. He got back onto C a lot faster than 100 Thieves were expecting. And 100 Thieves, contrary to their typical holds on the site, they didn't have good firm control of defender spawn link, so they couldn't actually deny the push out when it came into sight from Sick. He was allowed to walk out as a result. Now, Sentinels did manage to win that, yes, but their economy is still not in a great place. So we're even going to see, we're still going to see a judge here for Dapper, and he's going to try and make something happen with that over by C. Definitely possible he can make some magic happen with the judge, though we've seen some crazy things with that weapon. So not the end of the world. Now, it's early aggression by A again for 100 Thieves, but they always do this to just want to get some information, maybe commit to it, maybe go for the rotate like they did last round. Whatever the case be, it's just their typical poke and prod of the A lanes.
Well, where are they going to go? Eco scouting out A, utility being spent over in that direction as well. Unless a call has been made otherwise, that's where 100 Thieves' focus is going to be. But they're stalling out, and it looks like they might be swapping over. Spike has been retrieved by Ethan. He's heading towards B, with C possibly in his purview as well. Looking towards those doors. The judge, wonderful for Dapper. He catches Nitro. For some reason, at close enough quarter range, well, 100 Thieves then immediately pivot, and they'll try to take control of A. Starting off with Asuna. He's on run it back, trying to beat this timer as best as he can, hunting for kills. Does he get intel on Shazam up in heaven? That's the real question. Side by side is Tens. He swats away the ult that's thrown out for Ethan, but through the wall, Asuna with yet another. The Phoenix players on both of these teams have been the absolute story so far. Sentinels know that they've got their work cut out for them. They could be able to put this map away, and they desperately want to. But they're needing to work together. Back at the site, that's where 100 Thieves are lined up. I don't know if they're going for, there you have it. It's going to be a pre-placed drone going on up, and some intel coming out. Sick and Asuna, 2 on the board, but Asuna is shut down. Sick will need to drop at some point. Problem is he's running out of time. He loses Shazam by his side, and I think Sick is aware that this one is pointless. Whether he'll go for the fight or not, it seems to be but a formality, as 100 Thieves should have no problem hanging on to this round. They'll just battle to the death as best as they can, and the Spike will end up claiming A site just before Steel can take out Sick from heaven, and another big round from 100 Thieves.
Yeah, so close to victory here for 100 Thieves, or rather, to a successful comeback here for 100 Thieves, but it's still one round away for a lockout on Sentinel's side, and they are now completely shattered in the economy, so that's some big buffer there for 100 Thieves. They not just won a single round there, they've effectively won 2. So now that Sentinel's gonna have to bring just 2 frenzies, and a sheriff, they're not in a great place. So Sentinels are struggling to win their defenses, just as 100 Thieves did. I mean, you can't really be that surprised on Haven, I suppose. The push out from A long, going to be met by Tens with the knives out. He's going to make them work for 1, but not more. As Asuna, who just hasn't been missing his shots, is going to shut him down.
That looked like a bit of panic almost there from Tens. He was trying to get away, and if not get away, then at least drag somebody else down with him. The pick on to Steel is a good one. Cypher's utility's not going to be effective at the moment for this particular round. Still, 100 Thieves, they love this A site. This is where they have gone the lion's share of attacks, but they're being punished for it on this particular round, and they'll lose the even footing that they were on. As once again, it's Sick. Box said that he was the best player in North America. If Sentinels are able to pull ahead today, it will be because of his play. Not only his gunplay, but also the intel that he was just able to secure. And it's a call to action to the Astra over towards A long. Shazam now wondering if there's somebody down by sewers. Recon Dart immediately destroyed. That gives him the information that he needs. Ethan inside of the site. This blaze wall will protect him, but the paranoia will not. Austin nails one. Nitro as well. Shazam answers back. Ethan there. Shazam in his position. He's got frenzy in hand in a 1v2, but he loses it in the 1v1 at the final moment, with Ethan making it so that 100 Thieves are still in this map.
Such an incredible eco round, though, from Sentinels, and even though they didn't win that one, darn, they came close. It's not going to matter, though, because 100 Thieves are so loaded at this point, given this streak that they've been on, to come back. Now, it is at least enough for Sentinels to bring the operator and put that operator in the hands of Tens. But we've seen it before through this map. It really hasn't been a good weapon for Tens so far. He's got to make a difference, and he's got to make a difference now, or we're looking at a pretty impressive comeback for 100 Thieves. So this is a very important moment for Tens. I think this is the make it or break it moment for him, especially as we're seeing that A pressure already coming out.
And there's 2 ultis up as well for Sentinels. This will be crucial. Shazam can do some scouting work with that Hunter's Fury. And as well, there's a mulligan for Sick, as he's got the run it back at his disposal. 100 Thieves might be on the same footing in terms of weaponry, but their ultimates aren't what they need it to be. And those 2 ultimates from Sentinels, if used correctly, can be make or break in this round, and ultimately end up sealing the deal of the map.
Look at the way that Tens is playing so passively on A. He's not going to try and challenge long, and that's going to allow Ethan and Austin to get this early control that they can then turn into a site take.
There you go. The bird will give some intel. Tens gets away, taking some damage. They think they've got A clear, but 100 Thieves have been baited on in. Good news for them. They are not caught flat-footed at all. A retake potential now for Shazam as the Hunter's Fury comes out. Intel? No. Ethan will need to go for the plant as it's a drop from Sick using Run It Back to gain information on Hell. Does he get it? That's the real question. Dapper isolated. He's looking towards Hell. He sees Nitro, catches some swings on Ethan, and it's a 1v1, but 100 Thieves end up coming out in that duel with Steel and Hiko left alive. This one is just out of reach for Sentinels at the moment.
I really don't like harping on it here, Parker. It feels awkward, but again, Tens with the operator in a position at A and clear shots opening up for him. I feel really bad for saying it, but those are moments that really do define the round. The fact that Zoms is able to trade himself out, but Tens unfortunately wasn't. We all have those days, though. That's normal. Now Sentinels have to fight to avoid overtime, and they've just got barely 1 rifle, a Sheriff, and 3 Spectres. This is not ideal, obviously, for Sentinels. They can make it happen, though. Their economy rounds, confusingly, have actually been better than their rifle rounds. So I wouldn't be surprised if somehow this is the lockout for Sentinels and we move on to map number 2. We'll see.
That's it. Round 20 was a reset, which Sentinels ended up winning, and then, of course, they won the first 2 pistols rounds. That's it, by the way. The defenders have only managed to take 3 rounds so far, but they're looking for a 4th on Sentinel's side. At least if Sick can do anything about it. The confidence on Austin as he's going to spray away, but he gets shot by Tens. This is huge. 3 big kills from Tens, and the last one is Eagle at 4K. Tens puts map 1 away for the Sentinels.
So he can't land the shots with the operator, but apparently he can land them with the Sheriff. What incredible pistol play. Wish we got to see it. I'm sure we'll get to see it somewhere else eventually. What we do know is that right there is... Well, I can't believe that I predicted that, but that was impressive eco there from Sentinels, and it was really, I mean, it wasn't an eco, it was a force, it was what they got, it was all they had just to avoid that overtime, and it makes sense. So, Tens showing up when it really mattered. Surprise, surprise, considering his previous performance in earlier rounds.
I mean, the Sheriff is indeed his pocket operator. He's done this for the last couple weeks on this Sentinel squad, punishing everybody. No operator, no problem. And in many ways, the confidence that we saw on defense from Tens in particular when he wasn't opping seemed to be a little bit higher. What immediately pops to mind are all of the times that Tens found himself in a position and uncommonly got punished for it. Tens is so good at getting the shot and immediately getting out of there and resetting as Jet. He got punished and caught out by 100 Thieves quite a lot today with that op in hand. And on those eco rounds, of which all of them were won by Sentinels, by the way. The 4 rounds that they ended up winning on defense, remarkable stuff. Tens looked far more comfortable to work with the rest of the team.
I also have to say, in general, strategically speaking, 100 Thieves were a little bit more rigid. Their post plants were played primarily the same way every single time. We'll get the spike down and play on the site. Whereas on the side of Sentinels, we saw a lot more dynamic play. Sometimes they would force towards attacker side. Sometimes they played a long angle, falling back to falling back to attacker side, force towards defender side. But it was interesting to see the dynamic there. I think Sentinels just proved themselves a little bit more adaptable, and I think that's always been the story going into this match. But anyway, that's it for map number 1. We'll go ahead and throw to a break before we get to the analyst desk and then map number 2.
Change of arrangement.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Analyst Desk, where I'm your host, Veli, and I'm here with the smartest guys on the planet to help me break this down. Bach and Man Silly. I was talking about Bach. Man Silly, this game was absolutely crazy, man. But
oh my,
to see 100 Thieves almost forced to come back and Sentinels took it away from them like that, that's insane, man. And you know what the craziest thing about that is, Vans? What do you do when you can't win rounds with the big guns? It's like you bring out the little ones, and they dominated. It was a flawless round. You walk away with the win.
You bring it to tens with the Sheriff. I know we didn't get the kills, but I know that Sentinels are usually really good at recording the POVs and then retweeting it later, so I'm pretty sure that's going to get a lot of hits if they had that POV from tens. But the story right now for both of these teams was how good they both were on the attacker side. I have to give credit for Sentinels. This is how they're good on the attack. They're always having the best spacing, and they're moving as a unit to be able to trade immediately for the team on the attacker side. And they were doing really good to actually rotate out 100 Thieves, where we saw a different type of setup right now for 100 Thieves, right? They brought in the Sky at the same time, too, and they wanted to adapt. They changed some things around. You have an Odin from Hiko that's spamming into sewers, taking an A choke point a little bit more differently than the standard recon dart into the choke point to try to win those fights. So I like that, but again, it was all on the attacker side for both of these teams, where we saw such a close first match.
And take a look at the stats right now. Yes, Sentinels start off the game hot and heavy, but what mattered later on is the fact that 100 Thieves, they won 8 out of 9 rounds in order to force a probable comeback before Sentinels just flipped the switch and ran away with it. And talking about running away with it, Bach, you ran away with a prediction that you made earlier before the game started. You were talking about, okay, I see the hype with Tins. I know what the chat says. I know what Reddit says. I know what everyone in the planet says. But me personally, I feel like Sick is just more valuable. And Sick is definitely going to be the MVP for this team here on Haven.
Here's the thing. It's not to say that Tens played bad at all, because Tens actually started off with an incredible sprint to get ahead of the race, but it was like a matter of the tortoise and the hare, right? Like, he gets off to this great start, and then Sick starts to catch up, and eventually he passes him. And even though at the end they end up finishing very close to each other, 21 kills for Sick, 20 kills for Tens, 268 ACS for Sick, 224 for Tens. It's very close, but it could just, you watch that second half, and you watch the rounds where Sick was really starting to step up and coming into his own, and the shine started to come through. It was a battle of the Phoenixes, and this illustrates that perfectly. It was Asuna and Sick. They were going back and forth, basically winning rounds single-handedly for the team, picking up some big plays. And I think that what makes Sick so interesting is that you're going to see that across the series, across different agents. I love that. And it's not, again, it's not to say that Tens is bad. It's just that there's something special about Sick. Every time I watch him, I'm impressed. And I think that the second map is going to be just as good a treat as the first map was.
Vance?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you talk about teams running away, but now it was definitely the running back, right? Both of the Phoenixes, really stepping it up for both of these teams. Really putting the dent into the defense of both of these teams, whether it's Sentinels or 100 Thieves. But now it's coming up to Icebox, man. This is going to be another different matchup here between these two teams, because yesterday we did see the Viper come out of Nitro. We saw how they worked a lot on this B side too. And on B side, for me, I think it's usually Sick that plays that Sage on that side now. It's not going to be Dapper anymore. And Sick playing a Sage on that map is going to be very difficult for them to try to get that spacing, get that control on BB4 to try to force these rotations.
Make it quick, Bach. They're ready, man. Make it
I
quick.
know they're ready. We've seen some incredible battle Sages this event, and I think we're going to see one again.
I can't wait. But you know what? At the end of the day, whenever we're comparing players, Sick, Tins, it doesn't even matter. Even on 100 Thieves, it's not about who the better individual is, because at the end of the day, this is a team that's looking to be perfect in this matchup. And in order to do that, Sentinels are going to have to win Icebox. So Kix and Intero, take it away.
Well, thank you very, very much. It's always nice to hear that. Yet again, by the way, it's like his calling card, Michael. Sentinels are coming in as the hotter of the two teams. It was very close in that first match, despite the fact that Sentinels eked out a victory. Will 100 Thieves be able to cool off Sentinels here on the second map?
I think another really good question is, are we ever going to see that 10 Sheriff clip? I really hope he was recording his POV, because I want to see that so badly. What a lockout, too. Now, going into Icebox, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see this one be just as close as how we saw Haven play out, because both of these teams have been playing well on Icebox as of late. In the last month or so, they both played it 5 times and won it 5 times. So this could be a pretty close one.
We talked about how 100 Thieves loves to stick to the same lineup and very rarely change anything, but Icebox has been the one exception to that. In fact, if you go back and look at those 5 times that they've played it here, there's, of course, one difference, and that difference is that they brought a Viper. Like most teams at this point, it's going to be a Sage duel, but Viper is obviously going to have a very pronounced impact on this map.
Yeah, and it's actually the same for Sentinels as it is for 100 Thieves. It's working in the Viper and working out the Reyna for the Sentinels, and that has been an interesting change for both teams. We'll see how that works out now when we actually get the game going, but it's always nice to see those kinds of changes up. And especially with a team like 100 Thieves, who tend to bring the same thing fight a lot. It's always, it's a little bit different. We also saw, I believe we also saw the Viper on, or not the Viper, but we saw some change up from 100 Thieves on Haven, so that's another difference maker. So we'll see what we get here in the agent selection as we hop in right now. I think it'll probably be a Jet, Raze, Sage, Zova, and Viper, just like we saw versus T1 last time Sentinels played on Icebox, on Sentinel's side at least. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same lineup that we saw from 100 Thieves, but no, they're actually gonna, it looks pretty much identical. No real major changes going on, actually, for either teams. They're a little bit confused at who's actually playing Viper, though.
Kiko and Nitro are both going to play her. She's actually so in the meta, Michael, that she's going to appear 3 times in this matchup. So
yeah, we're doing it twice for 100 Thieves. They got the free pass on that one.
I hope you read the patch notes. There was actually a rule that allowed duplicate agents to come out. No, I'm kidding, of course.
We're just for 100 Thieves.
If you look at, by the way, Sentinel's lineup against Team 1 on T1, when they ended up coming here, they decided to bring a Raze. They're foregoing the Raze this time. So
it's 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Would you like to dive into that a little bit more?
I mean, I'd love to. I'd love to dive straight into it. Yeah, so foregoing the Raze, bringing the Reyna instead, and it's going to be the same for both of these teams. This is actually a step backwards for both of them. As in more recent matches, for 100 Thieves versus Sandbox, and for Sentinels versus T1, it was the Raze instead of the Reyna. So, I don't know. I think this is interesting. It's definitely more leaning straight into the head-to-head gunfights, and it's going to be easier to disengage and fake out if that's what you're trying to be doing.
What we're used to seeing here is not only is the utility play going to be incredibly important, and that utility, for the most part, is going to hinge around your executes when you're on attack, with Sage and with Viper, and determining where you want to go. If you're going to try to potentially have a distraction over on the opposite site, then you're going to run Sova to try and do that and get information as best as you can. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how they're going to stack up here, as both of these teams on Haven, obviously it's a 3-site map, but both of these teams on Haven really liked running fake-outs. And I mean, we've seen them before on Icebox. You've got mid-control as well, which can be so crucial. So for the very first round, 100 Thieves is going to look towards B. Their movement will be obscured by Viper as some utility comes on out, and they take up land very quickly now.
Yeah, this is a fast action for 100 Thieves. They've already got yellow control, and that's going to help them a lot for push onto B. You can see the stage wall come out from 6 though. He's going to try and give himself some more cover, but Asuna is just better in that fight, and now the control is starting to go hard in favor of 100 Thieves.
Asuna trying to work around the box as best as he can, but the frenzy from Zom's close range punishing onto 2 as Asuna and Nitro can't get anything for it. Finally, Zoms is punished in this position. Maybe Shazam up above. He finds Steel and then immediately moves forwards. Bit of a slow bit of action before Shazam then steps into it, and he intends clean up. So far, Sentinels have been mighty fine on these 2 maps when it comes to pistol rounds.
I gotta say, I really do love Tens on Reyna and Shazam on Jet. I think that combination's been really interesting from them, and it works out fairly well. This first round, I mean, obviously we aren't going to see much that's telling of that. I just want to say from past experience, it's an interesting duo there for Sentinels, and that retake at the end, together, they did really well in teamwork, challenging at the same time. The fast action for 100 Thieves did really hit a wall, and that wall's name was Zom, so great job to him holding it down over by B.
I don't know if they had any information as to Zom's position down below, because they looked like they cleared it and then immediately looked elsewhere, almost as if they didn't think somebody was there because Zoms didn't bother to take a fight. Because of that, it ultimately ended up biting them, and, well, I mean, everything else snowballed from there after the Sage Wall had been used in full utility as well from Viper.
Site control!
It looks like it's going to be the same thing. By the way, 100 Thieves in? Well, they're going to make out like bandits. Are they aware of the fact that they basically have the entire site to themselves? That's the real question. But immediately, Sentinels, oh, they take a step forward. Down goes 2 members. Oh, Eco, a beautiful shot as he, with the collateral, takes out both Sick and Dapper. Spike is down as well, so 100 Thieves in the post plan. Shazam can't hit his shots close range. Ethan punishes him for it. Steel trying to delay, as is the Viper of Zoms. Even though 100 Thieves will continue to collapse onto the 2 last defenders. They go around the wall. Zoms is good for 1, but he's going to have to do a little bit more, as it's 1v2 around yellow. There you go. You have enough time. Waiting to try and see if Ethan's going to bait. Ethan goes for just a jiggle peek. Wasting as much time as possible. This is a fruitless fight. Zoms knows that he's out of it. Whether he'll get the kill or not and ultimately perish to the spike is anybody's guess. It's a thrifty round, and it ends up going in favor of 100 Thieves.
What a massive round from 100 Thieves. The thrifty to change the round, change the dynamic of this economy in its entirety. Now the advantage that Sentinels got early by winning round number 1 is flipped on its head, and their economy is the one shattered. 100 Thieves find themselves able to buy rifles, and they're going to be plenty comfortable to take the next couple rounds, maybe next one, certainly this next one. Unless, of course, Sentinels does some crazy eco stuff, and Tens has bought a Sheriff, so definitely don't count Sentinels out just yet. But at the same time, beautiful round there from 100 Thieves, and I love their fast action plays onto B, especially the fact that Sentinels left it completely uncontested. They way over-rotated from mid. I mean, Sentinels handed that one to 100 Thieves.
Zoms is just going to play inside of his own playground over by A. He pops the Viper's den, Viper's pit, and he'll get out of there as quickly as he can. 100 Thieves, though, look like they want to go towards B. Nobody is intent on moving in A's direction. Just kind of languishing for now, and it's a slow take. Very, very slow. 30 seconds burned from the round, and a lot of 100 Thieves are still towards mid. They're now looking to challenge over by B, and the Sage on defense is going to look to try and hold them off.
I love this split push, and the flank watch from Steel is going to work out. Ethan ready to get 2 big frags there to get Sick and Dapper, who were trying to play for a late retake on B through the lanes, but not able to get that to happen. Obviously, this is a save for Sentinel, so this is not the end of the world for losing this. They want to do as much damage to the economy as they can, though, and they're not going to be able to get very much. I love the strategy from 100 Thieves. Great flank watch again from Steel. The double push up through 2 because it wasn't being watched really for Sentinels, basically free, and then the late push out through B main. I mean, it's a nice split.
Steel could possibly be Kingmaker here on the flank. As long as he doesn't end up getting caught out or punished, he's going to miss Zoms as the Viper just continues to walk towards where the spike is planted. A bit of a delay as best they can. Hiko pre-fire Shazam, a nice shot, but Steel is able to get in on it. He finds one, misses the opportunity onto Zoms, and Zoms getting away with just 9 HP. Essentially delaying the inevitable at this point, seeing if you can find anybody else on 100 Thieves. The answer to that question, by the way, no. Nitro does clean up work, and 100 Thieves now has the lead 2-1.
Well, nothing too crazy there for 100 Thieves. Again, I really like this strategy. That's super clever. And the fact that Sentinels didn't have much control over by market was really rough for them, but at the same time, I mean, what do you expect from the save round? So now, Sentinels able to buy, and this time the operator is in the hands of Shazam on Jet. So that switch up there is, I think, telling of how people are feeling about the roles they're playing, the weapons they're playing. But we've seen this before. This isn't like a new thing, seeing that switch up there for Tens and Shazam. So I'm sure it'll work out just fine. I'm interested to see if Shazam's going to be landing his shots.
Well, Steel is at least on to Tens, who'd struggled a little bit on those operator rounds in map number 1. Eco obviously being where he was best. Eco, not Hiko, by the way. I know that can be confusing, given the fact that Hiko's in the actual round itself. Ethan using his ult, by the way, is to try and gain information, and he could have relocated if need be, but it's not uncommon for teams to burn it early and then use it to scout out. Obviously, if you're not bringing a bunch of agents that have intel gathering at their fingertips. Spike getting planted yet again from 100 Thieves, and they will scramble out of the site as Steel tries to wait out the Sage wall that's up in tube. Viper ult expended by Nitro as he's going to blanket the Spike and surrounding area and will excel at those close quarter fights. Asuna gets spotted by Zoms, though. Dropped he is, and Nitro in the midst of this pit. He'll have dual Zoms as he sees the Hunter's Fury just go on by. Still just watching these angles. Seems to be a bit slow on the retake here. Backing up, Steel a nice kill, 2 big kills actually, as it's just a scramble all over the map. Dapper in a 1v3, he knows that this round is effectively over, and, oh, unless he gets caught out, he should walk away with his life. Information goes, nice play by Dapper, but ultimately it doesn't matter. It's not going to have an impact whatsoever on the round, even if he gets the final kill onto Hiko, which he won't. Another round from 100 Thieves on the board.
And just a little bit of economy damage really at the end there, and that's not that much, to be honest, especially considering Steel has really been fragging out as that pseudo kind of flank watch, lurker role, he's been playing that position perfectly. It is kind of odd to make the Killjoy work for you on attack. You can definitely do it, especially by B. You know, those nanoswarms are really useful in the post. But at the same time, I love what I'm seeing from Steel as he just lurks up through mid late after his team has already executed. And honestly, Sentinels have let that punish them way too many rounds. Like, it's forgivable on a save round, but you now know that Steel is doing that, and he's been doing it consistently. So that's the part where, now that you have rifles, you should be paying more attention to that. Steel has been definitely on form through that mid push.
Shazam is almost in attacker spawn right now, and on that flank position, could catch somebody from 100 Thieves if they're not looking in that right direction. Just a bit too slow, though. Both Shazam and Zoms will need to get over towards A, as that's where the execute is going down. There's a Killjoy just trying to waste some time with that lockdown. Initiated, 5 seconds remaining, and everybody will have to try to evade it lest you get detained. Asuna up top, unable to land the shots that he needs to, and will immediately head back to the ropes, but Sentinels are getting in on the board. Shazam and Sick in particular, the ult from Jet working favorably for them. 2 from Sick now as, well, a thrifty round. And Sentinels, in the snap of a finger, end up collapsing on 100 Thieves and taking the round because of it.
Wow, so this Icebox has had so many twists and turns already, and we're only on round 6 now. 100 Thieves managed to take round 2 after losing the pistol round, and they completely wiped the board for Sentinels and ruined their economy, changed the tone of all of the rounds and the expected progression. And now Sentinels do similarly as they manage a thrifty round, stacking up on A. And this is despite the Killjoy ult that we saw, the lockdown from Steel. I mean, it really wasn't that effective. Also, it didn't detain anyone, but also the control was not well in hand for 100 Thieves. When the retake came from Sentinels, it was an absolute blender. This is going to be, speaking of, a blender by itself, as this is a quick action through mid for B control. He's going to get the lead-off pick onto 6, and that's going to be a good start, but Zoms is there by Yellow to read.
Stops it in its tracks. For now, as long as there can be a refrag coming in from 100 Thieves, it might continue to roll forwards. And that's Hiko who's going to do just that, punishing Shazam. A beautiful X, by the way, drawn by these Viper walls, as now Steel marches over towards A. Spike in hand, for the record. This is going to prompt Sentinels to have to maneuver back to the A site, as they were holding down B quite successfully. Out goes a dart and smoke to potentially conceal them. As 100 Thieves are very close to being able to get in on this. They have a numbers advantage in a 4v3. Dapper's trying to think otherwise, though, and make it so that it's more of an even contest. Unfortunately for him, he misses most of those shots, as Tens now evades the Sova ult and grabs Ethan before immediately getting out of there as quickly as he can. He's worse for wear, though. Zoms is not, by the way, and he'll lose vision now before Tens and Dapper go down to Nitro, just gunning through them, leaving Zoms in a 1v2. Spike is down, so he's working against the clock as well. This is where things get tough for him. They don't have any intel as to where he could be, but they know it's going to come from over towards spawn. Zoms with one, he gets tagged, and he'll have to back away. Tagged yet again. Left, right, beautiful shot from Zoms. Goodness gracious. He'll hop on and get the defuse, and the round goes in favor of Sentinels.
What a shot from Zoms! And what... Sentinels, they secure an even round count, but effectively the leaders, they should get the round right after this. That's impressive to say the least. Beautiful stuff. You don't really see just straight isolated 1v1s like that, usually in a post plant. The spike planted there, 100 Thieves could have played that way better. They didn't necessarily need to take those isolated gunfights. And what he's doing, the economy's actually going to be just fine for 100 Thieves. But a little bit on the lighter side. This is going to be the make it or break it here for them. But they have their rifles. The only real hindrance here is that Guardian, and I know Steel can land those shots to the Guardian. He'll be fine.
Yeah, so Sentinels being able to put some rounds on the board. Tied up now as 100 Thieves are focused on A. Good news for Sentinels? So are Sentinels, as they look in that particular direction. Shazam opping over by Green. He's going to look all the way from B towards what is the attacker spawn, and the Sova of Hiko could be the one that ends up fighting him. Out goes a drone, and a shot from the operator gets the intel that he needs, and immediately Shazam peels off, as Sentinels are delaying. They're delaying as best as they can, at least. Out goes Alir to try and blind 100 Thieves, who are still buried down at the start of A. They haven't been able to take up anywhere near the ground that they want to, waiting out this fight roll.
It's not going to be easy to do. Steel, speaking of, we were talking about him earlier with that Guardian, he's going to land his shot, and 100 Thieves was securing A site control. He's still got Dapper in a good position to and there it is on the entry. He's actually might be able to stop the plant, but no! Off the plant comes Nitro, and he will win that heads-up fight. Now it's just Shazam Shazam, excuse me, with the operator in hand, he is likely to save. I don't expect him to try and retake into 4 of 100 Thieves. That's definitely not going to happen.
No, you've got the operator. It's way too expensive to gamble on that. You're not going to be able to do too much against them either with 4 sets of eyes from 100 Thieves looking in that direction. You'll just wait it out. It was a gamble. As you can see, there wasn't a lot of money remaining for 100 Thieves, and if they'd lost this, they would have been flat broke for at least 1 round, possibly 2, putting them at the mercy of Sentinels, who have been the better team when it comes to economy. They're going to fall off, though, because they know they've got the round. Evacuating A as the spike goes off in front of our eyes. And Shazam will live with the operator to see another day.
Dapper almost was a massive playmaker in that round, just falling short. Unfortunate, but it happens. Great reactions as well from Nitro. Now, the A takes here, 400 Thieves, have been pretty darn solid. That's especially considering this Viper's Pit that they needed to deal with. So, we might be seeing a tactical pause coming up here shortly. We'll see in just a bit. I mean, I think this is appropriate timing to try and slow things down. These teams are neck and neck, and it could definitely still go either way. But that's why these rounds right now matter most. I mean, look at this. We've got a bye from both teams, but Sentinel's economy is going to be shattered if they lose this one. So it's paramount that they actually manage to take this round, and that'll give them probably a good leg up to carry forward into future rounds.
Well, there's the tech pause that's been called, and now we'll see if it can do anything. We're back into the action, timer ticking away. In terms of ult usage right now, a much healthier economy for 100 Thieves, as well as Asuna, Hiko, and Nitro having access to their ults if need be. Only Tens and Sick on the side of Sentinels. Problem for Sentinels is that they are now on the verge of going broke, as 100 Thieves was just a round or two previously, and that forced buy effectively by 100 Thieves ended up being a thing of beauty. Well, for 100 Thieves, they're looking to add insult and injury to Sentinels, who trail and immediately equalize, though, with the operator that was saved from Shazam working out so well. Repositioned from Ethan by Yellow now as he looks over towards smoke. Can't see anything with it. He's blocked off from the ice wall. Amidst the smoke is Sick. Once it dissipates, he can have potential line of sight onto the attackers. Tens on flank. They know he's there. They go right by him. No, are you kidding me? Tens, how do you win those? Ethan manages to finally stop him, but Tens' damage is done at this point. Spike isn't down at all. Unfortunately for Tens and the rest of his team, they've been punished now, leaving Dapper in a 1v2. Dapper not landing his shots through those 2 rounds, both times in crucial must-win situations, unfortunately coming up short for him. And with it, 100 Thieves now at 5-3.
2 leadoff picks, though, for 100 Thieves. And they give themselves firm command of the round. You saw them start a fake out. They wanted to go back towards A. That icebox rotation from B to A or from A to B is so long, but it's definitely workable. Especially if you're getting those early frags, you're going to expect Sentinels to try and retake on the B, so that could work out. But because Sentinels doubled up on the flank, it almost went the other way. Not so, though. Unfortunate for Sentinels. Now they find themselves with 4 economy. They're going to have to try and work this with some sheriffs, 1 rifle. It's doable, but not ideal.
Well, Tens is not able to continue that good streak that he has when it comes to the sheriff in hand, and neither is the rest of Sentinels, as they are finding themselves at the mercy of greater firepower from 100 Thieves, who just whisked their way into the site, and have now just lodged the 2 final members of Sentinels. A flawless round shaping up for 100 Thieves. They're going to need to grab the spike and get the plant down, and that's exactly what they're doing. As Hiko gets Shazam, leaving Zombs in a 1v5. 1v4 now, so flawless is not really possible. Bombs will need to drop, and some noise will be made, but before he can do that, Asuna catches him from the back, and that's another round for 100 Thieves.
I mean, what do you expect, really, with the buy 400 Thieves and force for Sentinels? They tried their best to get that one, but no. Now they're actually going to be able to afford this round, though. They made sure of that, and finally get some even footing here. So it's been a relatively close icebox so far, and this is what we expected going into this, because both of these teams haven't lost icebox yet this month of the 5 times each of them have played it. So, considering that, you'd expect this to go pretty neck and neck. And even though the round count is currently 6-3, Sentinels have not been fully out of a lot of the rounds they've been losing. These are coming down to the wire often. So there's a lot of chance for this to turn around, and we've seen that we actually saw that in Haven earlier, when Sentinels put themselves up early, the almost comeback from 100 Thieves. It's going to be a dedicated A push here for 100 Thieves as they shape up to execute.
The only one of these two teams to play Icebox, by the way, was 100 Thieves yesterday. They went 6 for 6 on attack, and already they've hit that mark. They have 3 more rounds to see if they can outpace Sentinels more than they can when they were playing yesterday against Anbox. A bunch of utility thrown out, and ultimate as well. From Steel as the lockdown goes down, and nobody's caught whatsoever. Nitro, beautiful spray transfer. That's 2 for him. Now looking very keenly to get Dapper, who doesn't see to his left. No real perspective there for Nitro, as he'll continue to walk away. Taking some damage, though. Spike down. Things working out so well in favor of 100 Thieves, as they've got line of sight, they've got some area denial, and the re-entry for Sentinels is going to be fraught with peril. Toms will need to look to his left as Nitro is positioned over there. Asuna sees him, though, denies Nitro a potential kill, but Nitro gets the 4th anyway onto Shazam. A nice swing, and he just absolutely buries Sentinels on that round.
So that time, the lockdown from 100 Thieves and the control of the site like clockwork. We even saw Sentinels try and upset the flow by being a little aggro early on in that lockdown, but 100 Thieves are no fools, and they let the ability do the work for them on that control in A. Following that, it's really just a 4K from Nitro. I mean, boy howdy, by Boiler, he was unwaverable. And Sentinels struggling to just win any fight. The push-up through Boiler, by the way, was not at the same time as the push-up through Cat for Sentinels. So that was a mistimed retake if I've ever seen one. And it definitely caused them trouble. Once again, a shattered economy for Sentinels. So yeah, lead-off pick here. But, I mean, the expectation is still that 100 Thieves will take this round.
Shazam might not have any superior firepower, but he's got some knives that are going to look for their targets directly ahead as he tries to wait out the Omen smoke from Ethan thrown out in front of him. He'll think otherwise. He'll back up. Steel creeping around A. He's also going to potentially go for a dry peek, as Tens had done that earlier and got punished for it. Spot towards 100 Thieves back in their spawn is seen by Dapper, who now repositions up towards Kitchen. And Shazam has decided that he doesn't want to hold mid any longer. He's over towards A.
And Lear is going to force out the position from Shazam. He'll fall back deeper into sight. He's still got the knife, so this is very doable for him. The lurk from Nitro might actually net something, by the way, as he's going to actually call for the rotate. Ethan is in with Nitro, and now it's full B site control. What a fake out from 100 Thieves.
And you still got Asuna in mid as well. He'll lose the turret in front of him, but continue over towards Tube, watching that and slowing down Sentinels as best as he can. Because of that, because of him being the impediment, it's allowed the spike to get planted in the middle of the site. So, for Shazam, he's got some more work cut out for him after dropping Asuna. And he will ever so slightly continue to retake. At least, if he can get past the remaining defenders that are going to be there. And I say defenders because even though it's Sentinels defended, they've lost control of the site. 100 Thieves have it just the way that they want it. Beautiful play from Ethan and Hiko to clean up. 8-3, we head into the final round of the first half.
Nitro was working by B for most of that round, and he called, not necessarily that it was clear, they called that they had enough control by B because he had yellow. And because Nitro had yellow, easy teleport there for Ethan to solidify said control and give 100 Thieves an easy rotate out of A. That was shaping up to be an absolute bloodbath inside of A, but yeah, 100 Thieves pulled out at the perfect moment. And I think they just don't feel like they want to execute too committedly to an A site. They don't have the Killjoy lockdown. I actually kind of understand that. Sentinel's very aggressive. Shazam trying to get a pick off belt, but he's going to have to fall back without getting anything.
Well, nothing gambled, nothing gained. That's okay. But the ultimate that'll come out. It'll stop Asuna, who immediately crouches, hoping to not get hit, but oh my, Dapper just manages to glance off of one shot onto him before he falls backwards. Tens ends up getting punished for that as Asuna walks in, taking some more damage from Killjoy. But Asuna's got control of the backline. Dapper manages to shut him down and will now need to try to stop the spike that's been planting? No, they were trying for it, but they think otherwise. Steel still has control and could possibly go for it when he wants. As both teams trade back and forth they go. Spike is surrendered, though, and a wall will go up now to stop them from getting it. This is where we can finally see the Sentinels gain their footing.
Nice shot there from Ethan. Down goes Sick, but it's a trade by Zombs in the 1 versus 1 now. Spike down, not planted. Zombs has to find this fight. Eco trying to push up into sight, using those electric arrows to try and get some positional advantage. The wall is actually going to work for Hiko, as he can now cross to his preferred position. But he has to get the spike now, which is on the other side of said wall. It's going to be a fight by Boiler. Hiko doesn't seem to know, but he's realized now, fake out with the rope, and it's going to work! Zombs losing the heads-up gunfight! Hiko keeps the streak going for 100 Thieves.
Well, the good news is that the bleeding is at least stopped for the time being, because you've got this mandated breather as you switch sides. 100 Thieves putting in excellent work on that first half, and consistently punishing a Sentinels team that struggled to play from behind. And we could harp on about economy, but for the Sentinels, in the very first map, back on Haven, economy didn't really matter, because when they were on the ropes, they still ended up coming out ahead in those eco rounds. This time, obviously, Icebox not playing that same way, and 100 Thieves looking quite proficient on it. Before we get started in round 13, as we now see Sentinels transition onto attack, it is worth noting that since the start of April, and since the change to the meta, obviously, with Viper becoming a staple on this map, Michael, that the only real top-tier team that we've seen the Sentinels team defeat on Icebox is T1. So could it just be that their stats are being masked by the fact that most of their victories came on qualifiers against teams that might not be of the same caliber as, say, 100 Thieves?
I mean, that's certainly possible, Parker. Oh, what a shot from Tens! But at least they can land shots like that. So, I mean, it is something, and this pistol round is going to be super important for Sentinel's chances at taking this map and pushing this into a 2-0. I don't know at this point, Parker, but we almost saw the comeback from 100 Thieves last map, so anything seems possible when these two teams collide.
There's going to be a very narrow corridor here that is not concealed by that green poisonous wall. 100 Thieves are watching ever so intently. Down goes Tens as Nitro finds him, and it's back to a 4v4. Even numbers. That Frenzy's going to be positioned in a way to try and catch as much of the body at close range as possible. Asuna circling around, looking towards the back of Kitchen. Hiko not too far off. Nitro will walk over towards Tube, see if he can do anything as Shazam heads towards Kitchen himself. Maybe he's hungry. We don't know. Ghost in hand. Is he going to find anybody? There's nobody nearby. Nobody's giving an inch here. 20 seconds. By far and away the slowest round that we've seen between these two teams.
So we keep being slow. Side control. Asuna, though, shutting down Shazam as he tries to get out of lane. And another for Asuna. He just can't miss right now, except for that fight, apparently. Sick will get away, but it doesn't really matter. He has to plant that spike, and all he's going to do is be the final kill for Asuna on an absolute tear in through B's sight.
That's a particularly crippling round for Sentinels, too, because 100 Thieves pick it up, and with the ecosystem, they're likely going to win the next round as well, barring essentially a miracle from Sentinels. Because of this, 100 Thieves will be on the precipice of putting this map away, setting us up for Bind as the last one. The thing is that you've still got a bit of a buffer for Sentinels at this point, but things are looking bleak.
Yeah, they certainly are. Sentinels, I think, after losing that pistol round, have very little chance of making the comeback happen, but anything is possible in Valorant. So we'll see. Sheriff's brought here from Sick and Tens. Goes for Dapper, and ooh, there's Tens landing his Sheriff shots. You gotta expect that. Now he's got the overheal, and he can start moving into sight. And the Spectre of Ethan shut down Sick on that entry.
And more damage being done to Tens, too, as he's going to try to shrug off some of that shock dart. He gets punished by Ethan. The one opportunity that we got to see for him, it was good, but not good enough. He'll be able to grab the weaponry and fall back now, as Sentinels will need to get that spike planted at some point. Ooh, nice long-range shot from Steel, first playing the Guardian, now on the Marshal, as it leaves Zombs to defend himself against the remaining players from 100 Thieves. Econ Bolt goes out, he's spotted, and Nitro will stop him. Spike also surrendered, of course, but that doesn't matter because the round breaks in favor of 100 Thieves.
And that's as you expect, Parker. So we're not seeing the same economy upsets from Sentinels that we saw on Haven earlier. And that is the major difference maker. It's not the only one, though. A lot of these rounds strategically, 100 Thieves are just playing so well. The control is established. Every time 100 Thieves makes a push in through A, in particular, let's just like zoom in on that, they get defender nest control, then they manage to set up a crossfire that prohibits a retake, especially from Boiler. Boiler is such a point of focus for 100 Thieves, whereas Sentinels are not really putting a lot of emphasis on it, and it's causing them problems. This is the last chance round, really, for Sentinels. This is going to be the last real opportunity to buy and have a good contention.
Do or die, as you would say, as 100 Thieves are getting chased off of their position, but they fight back. Steel in particular, 2 beautiful kills, and a third as well for him. Soldiering through the particular 2 beautiful kills, and a third as well for him. Soldiering through the particular 2 beautiful kills, and a third as well for him. Soldiering through the particular 2 beautiful kills, and a third as well for him. Soldiering through the smoke. Won't find more than that, but that's more than good enough. As Austin is there for backup, Shazam will need to do his best, but it's not good enough. Try hard, you're gonna have to try harder. Eco
Steel
served of opportunity for 3 rounds now. Well, you're gonna hope to get an early pick and then maybe fetch one of their weapons, and for Sick, that's very much a possibility. Nitro's the first casualty, and it comes at a time where 100 Thieves really don't need the round as much as Sentinels does. So Sick, another one. Ethan, though, punished for it. A 3v4. Sentinels have opportunities here, and they have plenty of time to work with. Still a minute to go, but Steel shuts down Dapper, putting us back onto a 3v3.
Oh, this is difficult. Steel just not missing much, and there it is. 3 for him, cutting off the flank, and 100 Thieves will push us to bind.
Wow, what an absolute demolishing for 100 Thieves on that one. Commandeering Icebox from the very beginning and never really lessening their tempo. They were better with utility usage. They were far more confident, and you could see that. When Sentinels finally had an opportunity to go on to attack, a lot of times they just looked like they were continuously waiting for 100 Thieves to make a mistake, whereas on attack, 100 Thieves were finding those weaknesses from Sentinels and exploiting them.
Yeah, and Sentinels tried their best to try and make recoveries on those economy rounds, but ultimately the positioning, the spacing for 100 Thieves was just flat out superior. Just barely any control for us. Just barely any control for us. Just barely any control for Sentinels, whether on attack or on defense. Anyway, that's it for map number 2. We do have a third. It will be bind, but before that, short break.
Just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we have a tied game. Icebox went the way of 100 Thieves. We're going to break it down right here on the desk. I'm Billy, and I'm here with Bach and Van Silly, as usual. But Bach, I'm going to come to you for a second, because Intero brought up something that was really special, right? He says that 100 Thieves, they took advantage of the Sentinel's weaknesses, and especially looking at the composition lineup and the lack of smokes, which was kind of a topic of discussion. Would you agree? Because 100 Thieves look like they dominated this map.
So they do have a smoke, quote unquote, in that they have Viper. It's not the same as like the way that Brim or Omen play, where you get more of a distance. Obviously, you have to have the lineups and the throws. You do have that poisonous wall. You have poison snake bite. You have some control, but it's just not the same. When you look at the composition from the other side, they had both. So you had Ethan playing Omen, and you had Nitro playing Viper, so you had the combination of those skill sets coming together, making site takes easier, and would have made retakes easier if we got to see more of them. But they were up by such an insane margin in the first half, we barely got to see Sentinels even play attack.
Yeah. Right. Van Silly, I mean, would you agree? Looking at the lineup, even from Sentinels, I mean, no Cypher, no Killjoy, and they don't have any long-lasting smokes, and you really can't count Vipers as a real smoke, so to say.
Yeah, I mean, at least having the Viper and what they're trying to do between Zoms and Sick, it looked pretty good on Pistol Round, for example, because they're utilizing a wall where it blocks off a whole area on B, where you actually can't even get in there to try to get a plant down, so you have to actually push towards the extremity and fight towards a long hallway where Zoms was able to get a couple of kills with the Frenzies. But later on, not having that Sentinel, right? Not having information on Kitchen, not having information with a Killjoy or a Cypher, it was actually taken advantage of by 100 Thieves. There was maybe a round where they pushed together to take control of it and even push all the way towards B. There was some lurks going around on that B side too that did allow players where, for example, Tens, as we know how good he is on Arena right now, didn't have a chance to shine because he was stuck on a lot of these rotations, and also not having information for Sentinels on the retakes made it a lot more difficult for them to try to get some rounds on the defender side.
It felt like they were leaning on Zoms really heavily on the Sentinel side, though. Like, yeah, sure, his Viper utility was good, but there was just like, that was what they were relying on. And even just looking at the scores, it was really interesting seeing Zoms at the top of the scoreboard, no disrespect,